What's up, YouTube? My name is Uncle Smokey, and this is Uncle Smokey Stock Trades. And before I start this video, I would like to say, I am not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. So please take what I say with a grain of salt, and do your own DD.
All right, so Evergrande. Evergrande did go into default today, and in case you don't know who Evergrande is a gigantic property development company based out of China, and they have a very heavy impact on China's financial and economic system. They employ millions and millions of people, and it would be devastating to see this company go bankrupt. And unfortunately, they have missed the last two of their coupon notes that they were to pay, and that did send them into default. Now, there is still going to be some proceedings that have to be done, and I do believe that they are going to be looking to restructure everything. That's the first thing that they're going to try and do is do some restructuring, and then go from there. Now, I do think that the market overall did have this factored in. We are seeing a pullback from this. I do feel that this is one of the primary reasons that the market did have a pullback today is this default. But I don't think it's going to last for a very long period of time. Now, with that being said, keep in mind that we do have CPI data tomorrow, and that could continue this downtrend if that CPI data comes out bad. And of course, we won't know until about 8:30 in the morning. Now, the last couple of CPIs, the market has kind of shook that off as if it was nothing. But we do have other things going on in the world today. For instance, Evergrande. And the other thing that sorry about that. I had to change my shirt. It was going absolutely crazy with my green screen. So the other thing that we have going on is, of course, the new variant, that Omni variant. And it's going to be consistently going to be wreaking havoc in our markets. So Europe actually stated that they had closed lower than their previous close, and their prime minister had just increased the restrictions. And so there is looming issues with the variant, and that will continue to create issues in the market, especially when you have other things going on that create downtrends. So I do want to say that I think that the COVID variant could very well also be one of the issues with the market today. Now, a good thing that did happen today, I mean, good to some, bad to others, it all depends on how you look at it. The debt ceiling issue, the debt ceiling bill, there has been extremely fast developments today. We've gone through the final hurdles of getting this approved and pushed on through. 14 Republicans, along with all of the Democrats in the House, did push the bill on through to be able to be voted upon the Senate, and the Senate went ahead and got that approved as well today. And it is sitting on the president's desk, and we may even see an answer to this before morning breaks tomorrow or in the early hours of tomorrow on whether the president is going to sign this bill into law or not. And I'd be willing to bet that this is going to go straight into law. Now, I do know that this is supposed to be enough funding to take us through till November, I believe, of next year. And there's talks of it being anywhere between $1.5 trillion and $2.5 trillion increase. And that allows for more American bonds to be traded throughout the exchanges, the global exchange. That's a positive. I think that could actually help turn the market back around and give us more of an uptrend. But again, we also still have to see the CPI data. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and move on to the talk of the day, Meta. Today we opened up the day at $3.38. We hit a high of $3.42, a low of $3.14, and we closed the day out at $3.20, finishing down 6.16% on the day. And that's on shit volume, guys. That was only 4 million in volume. And I'll tell you what, the shorts definitely had their way with us today. Now, I'm not going to say that it was all short volume that created this problem. Again, we had some serious issues in the market today. The overall market did trade red. As a matter of fact, if we go and look at FinViz, it will tell us absolutely that. All of the market overall was red. There was a few green stocks. You had some of your stay-at-home plays that grew, your healthcare plays, some financial market plays that grew, things like that. But overall, red today. And one thing I do want to pay attention to is look at the block sale. So this 1 minute bar, that's a block sale. That's one of the things that I've been looking for to be able to show you guys. We talked about it a while back. Generally, when you see short sales, they look like this. This is a short ladder attack when it comes down like this. And actually, there was probably not all shorting in there. That right there. Right there. There's a good short attack. This is a block sale. When you have a big red bar like this, somebody offloaded a huge position all at once, but they also bought a huge position all at once. There's a very good possibility that that one and that one are going to be closely related. This could have been one hedge fund coming in, putting 134,000 in volume or whatever it may have been that they put in volume, and then selling it back off for small profits. An algorithmic trade. Small profits are actually huge profits when you're talking 100,000 shares at once. A penny, 2 pennies, that builds up really fast. All right, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and move on to a little bit longer of a time frame. Let's go to the 1 hour chart, showing a lot of downward pressure today. Basically, every single moment of the day was red, with the exception of a little bit there. And again, yes, there was market manipulation, absolutely, but the market was red, guys. There is a lot of fear going on in our market, and it's not been easing up. And with the CPI data coming up tomorrow and the uncertainty that's going on, who knows what's going to happen? Look to your futures. Always look to your futures. Your futures will tell you the story. Your morning futures, first thing, 7 a.m., look at those things. They will give you an implied open of what it's looking like, what the overall market's looking like. Now, again, tomorrow, 8:30 a.m., CPI data comes out. We've shaken it off before. Let's shake it off again. Let's see what happens, though. Okay, so there was not a drastic drop on the OBV today because it was low volume. We've talked about that before. The OBV moves with the overall volume. And if you have a big step up in volume, you're going to have a big step up or down in the OBV. For instance, right here, this is a pretty big leap. And that was, a few million in volume just right there in half of a day. This was barely 4 million in the whole day in downward pressure. So again, it didn't affect the OBV overall. And then here is our 1 day chart, and this is telling us a true story right here, showing that we are still currently out of our downward channel, but we're bouncing off of it right now. We really want to try and see this come out of this channel and stay out of this channel. Again, I had said allow for a couple of days to confirm the trend. We still need to allow at least one more day. We need to stay out of this channel. We need to bounce off this yellow line and get out of there. Also, take a look at your OBV. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. It is still, it's still up, but it did trend down a little bit today. And like I said, with volume, it will move down some. But it didn't move down a lot because it was low volume. It just confirms the 1 hour chart's OBV volume. Okay, MACD. The MACD line is currently flat with the signal line. They are leveling out. So they've been hooking down for a while. They are currently leveling off. And then your histogram is still getting a little bit smaller than the day before. The RSI is currently hooking down, but it is at that oversold level. So you should expect to see a small bounce in the very near future. We might go slightly oversold tomorrow with the entry of the CPI data if it comes back bad. But again, with the way we've shaken off CPI data before, the recent bull trend we have been in the last few days, and I do think the Evergrande issue is going to kind of push itself off in the short term. I think we could potentially see a bounce back from that oversold area in the upcoming day to couple of days. And that moves us on to options. Options chain. So we had 13,235 calls and 461 puts. That's like 98% calls to put ratio. Now keep this in mind, that is traded contracts overall. That is anybody who bought, sold, rolled, whatever. Okay, that is your overall contracts traded in total during the day. Implied volatility has moved down to 136%, inviting those investors to step on in and buy some more of those calls. Now, what is interesting is the VIX, like we've talked about many times over, it is the fear index, but it's the fear index over the options chain. And it's kind of funny that our options were really not fearful at all. The puts were really low. In fact, let's go back over here and take a look at the VIX. We didn't do that. The overall markets, as you had seen during the day, did trend down. They finished all in the red today, but they have made a slightly... let me rephrase that. SPY made a slight recovery in the after hours. Now, the VIX, it did increase today. So let's go to the 1 minute on the VIX so you can really see it. And the beginning of the day was right somewhere in here. Right in here. Okay, we found the beginning of the day. So here's the beginning of the day right here. You'll notice that the VIX made an immediate spike. Now, again, the market wasn't trading all kinds of craziness all day. It really happened about midday. It started really going nutsy. And that's when the VIX really picked up. The fear index really picked up. And again, I think that might have been with response of the English COVID news and things like that. So the volatility picked up and the VIX picked up. This would have been a point where if you wanted to buy the VIX, you would have bought down here and traded up. That's one of those things where you would have seen it in the morning type of deal. Me personally, I'm not going to trade the VIX. If I'm doing anything with the VIX, it's going to be shorting the VIX. And again, I look to my futures to do that. What I will do is in the morning, I'll look to the futures. And in fact, let me see. No, I can't even do it on this one. I'm sorry. I'm going to pull futures up on the next videos. We're going to talk about futures. Anyway, I'm going to look at the futures in the morning and I'm going to judge what the volatility index is going to do. If I think it's going to have a pullback, I might put in a short position for 5% drop, and then I'll have it automatically pull my short position and cover at that point. Again, that's just something I would do. I don't suggest anybody else to do that. Now, again, 5% is probably pretty low. I think it might go a little high, drop a little more than that. Generally, when the VIX starts coming down, it comes down, it crashes down pretty quick. Fear is something that we seem to be able to overcome here. And then finally, we need to talk about Ortex. All right, so I was not able to get my morning briefing out this morning. I'm sorry, and I should be able to get it out tomorrow. I'm not doing deliveries. I had to do them today. Plus, we were super slammed in the store once I got back. So it explains why I have not been active on Twitter lately. It is the holiday season. That's a great song. So whoop-de-doo. And anyway, it's the holiday season, and that's just how it works. I get stuck at work and I can't do anything. Currently, we're looking at 84.39% of utilization, 2.32% cost to borrow. It would take 3.85 days to cover all of the shares on loan, which has increased. This is T2, so this is a couple days ago. 38.5 million shares are currently on loan, which is 27.77% of the free float. The estimated current short interest of the free float is 18.06%, and that is 25 million shares. Oh man, that's good news. This was just updated yesterday. Look at that, guys. I'm surprised. Sorry, my look of surprise. 25 million shares updated as of yesterday, shorted from the free float. That's 18% of the free float. Sorry. Wow, I had to catch myself. All right, if you come down here to the live intraday stuff, it shows that they returned 5%, which is about 2 million shares. Remember, when they return shares, it does not mean they were shorted shares. It does state a little bit that it is that way, but not completely. They might have covered 1.25 million shares, roughly, according to the estimated current short interest compared to yesterday's update, which means the rest of them were just borrowed shares that they returned. Gives you kind of a false sense of covering. They do that on purpose, try to trick you. So currently 23.75 million shares are short, and that is 17.13% of the free float. The average number of days on loan is 27.1837 days. That is the average number of days the shorts have been holding their positions long. We're going to move on over to Fintel. Fintel showing the short squeeze scores at 74.53 out of 100, 390 out of 5,500 stocks on that list. There is 600,000 shares currently available to be shorted from a leading prime brokerage, and it is a 1.37% short borrow fee rate according to Fintel. The FINRA data shows over half of our volume did come from the dark pools today, and it was 56% short. That is over half. That is pretty close to relatively normal for what we've been seeing lately. Is it normal? No. We should never see that much shorting in any stock. That is absolute manipulation. That is controlling the market with shorts. Hedge funds controlling the market, driving it down, bringing it up, doing whatever they want to do with it. It's just not fair because the retail investor does not have that power. We don't have the ability to move in unison. The only unison move we can make is hold. That is it. It's the only thing we can do as a community. Not financial advice. Not a financial advisor. Overall today, the short volume was 60.57%. Again, it's just showing the manipulation levels of the hedge funds. And the hedge funds are the ones who trade in the dark pool. They're the off exchanges. That's who does that. You and I, we can't do that. We don't have that kind of power. The dark pools weren't designed for that. The dark pools were designed to allow a buyer and a seller to go in and exchange shares without moving the market, without shifting the market. You know, that's how insiders trade. They'll go into the dark pools, they'll trade, they'll find a buyer, they'll find a seller, and they won't move the market. All right, so I'm going to try and explain these filings that we got today very, very quickly, and to help you understand them as best as I possibly can. All right, so the first form I want to talk about is the easiest form to explain, and that is the form 3A. The 3A is just what it sounds like it is. It is an amendment to the previous Form 3, basically disclosing that they had a direct ownership of 15,000 common stock Metamaterials Inc. shares on the NASDAQ, not just the exchangeable shares, and they had 30,000 Series A preferred stock shares. Now, those 30,000 Series A preferred stock shares could have been a benefit, a beneficial ownership for an agreement upon the completion of the acquisition of Torchlight. It could have just been part of their contract. I don't really know. But this is no big deal, this amendment. In fact, we're just going to get that out of there. No problem. The next thing we're going to talk about, though, is Form 4. This is bringing up a lot of confusion, and I'm going to try and break it down to you right now to help you understand why this is not a bearish sentiment. So let's start at the very top line. 600,000 M. M is the code for exercising. They exercised exchangeable shares, moved them over to common stock, 600,000 shares. And A is acquired, so they acquired those shares through exercise. D is disposed or distributed, sold, and S is the sale code. All right, so 600,000 shares and 500,000 shares were exercised within a couple of days of each other. That is 1.1 million shares of common stock. Then you would take all of these numbers with an S next to it, except for this one on the bottom. Forget the bottom one because it is Series A non-voting preferred stock. Okay, don't mind that one. That will not get it added in. That does not count towards meta numbers at all. All right. So you take all of these numbers and combine them together, you come up with 431,000 shares. Now, if you remember correctly, when George did his filing, he filed for very similar numbers. About 1.1 million shares is what they filed for, with 431,000 shares sold off. That's all they sold. That could have absolutely covered the tax man. That's roughly 40%, maybe a little bit more, of their overall what it would have been earnings. Now, with that being said, once you've gotten through all of that and you understand that now that they have 669,000 shares just sitting there hanging out now, down here it shows that there was 200,000 shares directly transferred to Annie Lambert. And then down here you'll also see where she, indirect right here, transferred over 200,000 shares to herself as well. All right. Now, to understand what this is, you need to understand where Annie Lambert comes from. She is a board member of this company, Dry Forest Conservation Fund. It's not really a company, it's a nonprofit. And I absolutely think that this is where their gifts went to. That's what those 200,000 filings are. Their gifts, I do believe, went down to this company. The reason why I say that's, look down here. Ways to help. Gifts of stock and securities, which if you click it, it takes you right to this. For investors donating stock, it is often most tax-wise form of charitable giving. A gift of appreciated stock can save taxes in two ways. You can claim a tax deduction for the full value of the donated stock, and you avoid having to pay tax on the capital gain you would have reported had you sold the stock. Now, the downfall to this is because they did gift this stock to this company or nonprofit, they now have the ability to sell that on the open market. And that could have already happened. They could be holding, who knows? I don't know. You don't know. We won't know probably ever because I don't know if they have to disclose this information. They're not a holder of the company, so it's not like they're an insider or anything where they have to disclose anything that they do like that to us. I mean, I'm sure if we dig through filings and books and stuff, we could figure that out in due time. I'm not doing that. Anyhow, back to the Form 4. So, if you look here, Thomas directly sent over $200,000 to her. She directly sent over $200,000 to her. The 400,000 shares got donated to a charitable cause. I think it was that one. I could be wrong, but that's another 400,000 shares off. That means they only took profits on 269,000 shares. And that's as of right now. We don't know they didn't even take profits on those. That's another 269,000 shares that they've just got sitting there. We don't know what they've done with them. We don't know if they've taken profits on them or if it's just going to sit there. But what we do know is they currently hold 22,441,239 shares of exchangeable shares that they can still exchange over. Now, when their next Form 3 comes out, I would expect to see a little bit different of a common stock number, providing they don't sell between now and then. Their Form 3 should be due here pretty soon, so we should be seeing that here in the very near future, as well as many others, if needs be. All right, and here's a real brief recap on CFVI. So CFVI is a SPAC that has been done to bring Rumble. It is a new video platform that is going to be hitting the public market here in about 3 or 4 months, roughly. And it is trading on the open market now as a SPAC through CFVI. And basically, what I said last night was if you're going to try and swing trade this on a semi-long-term basis, so a swing trade is not a day trade. A day trade is something that you get in and out of very quick, usually within a few minutes, and you're doing that within a day, intraday, hence day trade. A swing trade is a little bit longer than that. A swing trade will last at least overnight, sometimes several days to even several weeks, up to even the course of a year. In fact, some people would have considered AMC a swing trade up until recently, where we're still holding that bad boy. And it looks like we may be holding for a little while longer, because we're not going to sell until every short is freaking covered. Anyway, with a swing trade, the best way I have found in my personal dealings with the stock market is to swing with the Bollinger Bands. The Bollinger Bands are not a buy and sell. That is why I said don't utilize them for day trades, use them for swing trades. The Bollinger Bands will tell you buy or sell. And here's what I mean by that. The Bollinger Bands follows your trend. It actually helps identify your trend. And it's going to tell you whether to buy in an uptrend or sell in a downtrend. So this here would be a buy point in an uptrend. And up here was just confirming your trend, and then it would pull back, and this would be another buy zone, not a sell zone, because you're still expecting for this uptrend to continue. So every time it makes these peaks and pulls back, it's a buy zone. Now, a day like today, when the market is acting a little bit crazy, it pulled back a little bit further than I would have expected. I actually expected a little bit of fireworks today, but again, with some market craziness, you're not going to necessarily see that. It puts fear across everything, including, the institutions or the whales and things like that would have stepped in to buy this particular SPAC. Now, with that also being said, I want to let everybody know I have recently started a Rumble account, and I am uploading my videos on Rumble, and I am going to put a referral code to Rumble in the description of my video. So if anybody wants to go check out Rumble when they're done watching my video, head on over there and make sure you check out this video on Rumble and give a little bit of a click there. They call them rumbles, not likes. Go figure, right? Anyhow, so what I'm looking at right here is, again, it did come down into a lower portion of this channel. I'm not too concerned about that right now. I want to see what the market does tomorrow. I'm going to look for my futures and see what happens. If this continues a pullback, I am going to consider another buy-in. I am already in at 1377. I bought in all the way back here during the initial run-up. And no, I did not sell off because I did not foresee this being the top. I think this has got a lot of gas in the tank, just like the last SPAC that came out. But this is going to be a little bit slower of one because this is the real deal. This is a genuine thing, a working product. There is a working product out there being used right now by 80 million users. So this is going to be a very good potential for a big swing trade. Like this could take a couple of months. But again, so with the Bollinger Bands, you're looking for this to confirm your trend and to confirm your trade. I would be buying right here and then watching for an additional pull-up. Now, if from here it pulls down, now you might be considering a reversal of trend, and you might want to consider pulling your position. Now, for me, that would be a bad idea. I'm below my buy-in. If I would have bought in up here or down here, I should say down here, then that would be an okay idea for me. But I also have a stop loss set. I won't lose more than, I think I have it set for 30%. So, and that's another thing that you can do on a swing trade or a day trade is set yourself limits. Nothing wrong with doing that. But on your long-term holds, remember, you've got hedges that like to stop loss on. So with that being said, I'm going to do a better video on Bollinger Bands explaining what they are. And there's a couple other technical videos I want to cover, OBV and the alligator bands, things like that. So, like, subscribe, make sure you're commenting in the algorithm below. I know this video is extremely long, and I'm very sorry for that, but there's a lot of info in here that I think everybody wanted to see, especially about those filings. Go check out Rumble, guys. Peace.